Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday. Today I'm going to do something a little unusual for me. I'm going to actually start working on the road trip wallet I got in the Cool Stitches subscription box I unboxed a few weeks ago. And I haven't really looked at the instructions, so I thought it might be fun to sort of show you what I would do to organize a project like that, organize cutting and how I'm going to work the project. So I'm going to start that today. But before we get started with that, I want to announce a few fun holiday surprises. If you saw my Fit Tip Tuesday this week, I showed how to make a fleece hat, and I'm making this fleece hat for my sister-in-law Jackie to distribute to people in need because she's involved with that. And I found out actually after I started this that she's involved not only in Middletown, Connecticut, but also in New Haven. So she's got quite a network of places where she helps to support people who need it. And I designed the hat, which here it is. I'll try it on for you. Okay, so this is one of the hats. I like it because it's got ear covers built right in. I can literally make this hat in 10 minutes without the tassels, and then if you add the tassels it's a little bit longer, but this is a free hat pattern on my website, and it also makes a nice gift for someone who needs something cozy on your own list as well. So the deal is, if you send me a hat, I will give you send me your email when you send me the hat, and I will give you a coupon code for a free PDF pattern as a thank you if you want to contribute and make hats for people who need them. So that's the first thing. I'm trying to do some, give back and giving and free things this holiday season, just to sort of uplift everybody's moods. I'm trying to get in the holiday spirit myself. So I think this is fun. So this is the first thing I'm doing. Let me just say hi. Hi, Janie. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you guys. So that was what I did on Fit Tip Tuesday. And then I want to show you two other things I'm doing. Let me switch my view to my picture-in-picture. Okay, this is going to be a free tutorial in my newsletter, my December newsletter, which is coming out next week. So look for that. It'll have all the instructions and a link to the pattern pieces that you need to make this felted. This is felted wool, but you could use felt. You could even sew it out of regular fabric if you wanted to. So this is my little candy cane Christmas stocking. So I will have this in my newsletter next week. So that's something fun coming up. And then I have, I decided that I would do a promotion with Aliso irons. And if you guys are getting if you're purchasing an Aliso iron for yourself or for somebody else on your Christmas list, this iron is amazing. The mini iron, they have those in stock and they're ready to go, so you can order them and get them for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday you celebrate. And it's a really powerful iron. It works just as well as the full size iron. And what I decided to do is, if you send me a receipt for an Aliso iron, I will give you a coupon code to have the t-shirt quilt class on my J Stern Designs Online teaching platform for free. So that's another little promo. So you could, give the iron to your sewing friend and do the class yourself, or you could gift the class and the iron to somebody. So it's an extra way to give someone a reason to use their Aliso iron, I guess. So I think that's kind of fun. So I'm doing that. Let me just stop and say hi. Hi, Janie. Hi, Mary. Hi, Lauren and Melanie. Welcome, everybody. I'm good. I'm busy, but I'm good. It's been interesting transitioning from doing more virtual events versus in-person events, because that involves a little bit of juggling in terms of class descriptions and coming up with classes that work better virtually. So I've been spending a lot of time on that. And I just want to give you guys a little feedback from a teacher's point of view in a virtual class setting. I taught how to embroider knit fabric on pattern review on Wednesday this week, and it was a really fun class, and everyone was lovely, but they were very quiet, and I think questions started rolling in as the class was ending. So what I want to encourage you guys, if you're taking a virtual class as a student, feel free to ask questions, because I know myself as a teacher, I love to answer questions, and it helps pace the class, and it helps actually, I think, make the class better if you ask questions. So if you're a student registering for a virtual class, don't be afraid to ask questions. Usually the moderator will tell you or give instructions on the best way to ask a question. For example, you may put it in the chat, or there may be time for you to indicate you want to ask a question. So just a little interesting, from my point of view, I think, more questions are better, because I think it helps the class be a little bit more feeling of participation. So that's just a little extra thing I wanted to just mention. Hi, Andrea and Carolyn. Thank you for joining me, you guys. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to show you this. This is the Emmeline bags pattern, the road trip wallet, and it's such a cute project. I thought I would make one, and I was going to read the instructions, have everything all cut out and ready to go, and then I thought it might be fun to just share how I would go about tackling a project like this to start with. So I'm going to do that with you, and then we're going to cut the pieces out, and we'll see how far we get today. But and then during the week I'll work on it some more, so next Friday I'll be able to wrap this up as a 2-week project. So let me just get my camera a little less bright here. Hold on one second. All right, I think that's better. All right, so let me just start by saying that when I open up instructions like this, I look at I try to look through all of the instructions. This has a lot of really nice detailed instructions in this pattern. And the cool thing about this pattern is it gives you cutting charts. So it has 3 versions and 2 sizes. So there's a small size and a large size. And I'm looking at this here. The large size is 8 or 9 inches and 6 and 7. Oh, those are the supplies. Where are the actual dimensions? I don't see where. Choose from 3 different closures. Version C works with the large size only. All right, so the version C, the large size only, has interior snap. I think I'm going to go with a version A, which has a snap tab closure. And I think I will make the large size, because then maybe I'm hoping that my phone can fit in it once it's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to, there's a lot of instructions, and sometimes you can use these little check-offs to do things or make note of them as you go. I kind of like that. But there's a quick cutting chart. Okay, so the first thing you want to decide is which view you want to make. So I'm going to be making view A. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my quick cutting chart for the size large, view A, and it tells you exactly what you need to cut. So we need exterior fabric, interior fabric, and interior fabric number 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the fabrics that came in this cool stitches box. Okay, so I'm guessing this is going to be my, well, I guess I could decide to do this really anyway. Let me just look here. The interior fabric, you need more. That's the yard, that's the half yard piece. So I guess what you want to do is you want to make sure that you use the right fabric for the right pieces. And I'm just gonna take this apart and look and see. Okay, so I have, this is a half yard piece, this tan, so this is gonna have to be my interior fabric. And then my second interior fabric could either be this one or this one. Okay, so the exterior and second interior fabrics, they're 1/4 yard pieces. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the exterior pieces my dark cranberry color, and then I'll use these 2 coordinating pieces for my lining. So that's the first thing you always want to check. If you get a kit like a subscription box, make sure you're using the right fabric for the right pieces so you don't, you know, run out of fabric cutting out things you need for, you know, if I used the tan for my exterior, then I wouldn't have enough for the larger amount I need for my interior. So we are at step 1, and these are simple rectangle and square pieces. So we're going to use our rotary cutter to cut them out. And I am going to start with my exterior fabric. Now, my exterior fabric for version A with the snap, that tells us what we need to cut out of it. So I am going to cut, I need a snap tab, and I need the wallet exterior. So it's giving me the dimensions here. So I think what I'm going to do, oh, and they're also on the chart actually. Version A, snap tab. Okay, so the snap tab, let me just look here. I just want to see if there's any pattern pieces. There are. So here are, I'm going to pull this page off the back. So my snap tab has a pattern piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting my pieces, and I'm going to use my quick reference chart to do that. And sometimes it's helpful if you're working with a bunch of different fabrics. I'm just going to make a note here. My external fabric is, I'm just going to put my dark fabric here. And then my other interior fabric, this is going to be for the interior. Oh, it looks like for the large size. Okay, so they put both the large and the small size. The second fabric is not listed here because it's the same no matter which wallet you're working on. Okay, so for the different pockets and everything, no matter the large or the small, it's the same. So that's the quick cutting chart for the second color, which is my, we'll call that, this is going to be my dark pink. So I'm just going to make a note, dark pink there. And for my interior fabric 1, this is my beige floral. So sometimes marking which fabric is which helps to keep yourself organized. Mary says, does it say right under the heading at the top of the page? Oh, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm sorry, Mary, I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking at that. But in any case, the thing I wanted to point out to you here is, if there's multiple fabrics, sometimes it's good to mark on your pattern what fabrics you're going to be cutting which things out of. So now that I've got that straight, I'm going to cut out my, I'm going to cut out my pieces, and I'll start with the exterior pieces. I'll put that away. And The other thing that's kind of cool, I don't have to worry about having interfacing and fusible fleece because we need those too. So if you look across the chart, it'll tell us. So for the snap tab, we need exterior fabric, plus we need interfacing, plus we need fusible fleece. All of that comes in the kit, which is kind of cool. So we need 2 of the exterior fabric, 2 interfacing, and 2 fleeces. So I'm going to show you a cool tip for that. I'm going to go right here on the very edge. Okay, I'm going to cut out my piece for my tab like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is sometimes when you have simple shapes like this, you can make easier work out of cutting if you take your interfacing. So I'm going to fold that in half. I'm going to lay it down right on top of my fabric. Okay, and then also this fleece is very thin. So I can actually take my fleece, I'm going to lay this down. This is 6 layers of fabric, but because it's so thin, I think this is going to work fine. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to pin my pattern piece on top, and I'm not going to worry about the direction I'm cutting out my tab because this fabric, even though it has a print to it, it's directional. I can have it be in any direction. So I'm going to just lay all this down. I'm going to pin it to the top layer, and I'm going to cut all these pieces out in one step. And actually I could pin it straight through. And then that way these little pieces are not going to get lost after I cut them out. So I'm just going to do that. And then for my straight edges, I'm going to use my ruler to make sure I get a nice straight edge. Okay. So this is just like a time-saving tip. Let me just move this out of the way for a second. Okay, and then I can just go through and carefully cut the circle like this. So this is now all of my flat pieces are cut out, okay, and they're actually pinned together so they won't get lost. Oh, Mary said I was looking for dimensions. Yes, I didn't realize they were actually on the chart themselves. So that was my ding dong. I got a little bit confused when I didn't see a dimension for the snap, and that's the snap tab, and that's when I realized there was probably a pattern piece for it. So this is like my process, like if I were, you know, like most things I sew, I've designed myself. So I know what I'm doing, but if you're working on somebody else's project, this is just kind of a fun thing for me to be working on somebody else's, you know, project. And it's not a clothing project, which means it's kind of fun for me sometimes to work on. All right, so you can see I have my tabs. They're all together, and I'm not going to lose them. So I'm going to put those aside. So I've done my tab, and I went straight across. And then what I like to do is just make a little, okay, I did that, and I did that. So I'm checking those things off. And now we're going to go to our wallet exterior. And I want to just see, there's letters here, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I wonder if she's using that instead of numbered pieces. So our wallet exterior is going to be 17 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to stick my interfacing and my fleece aside, and I'm going to measure. I need one piece that's 17 1/4 by, I'm just going to cut this off even here. think I'm going to even this edge first of all. Just going to trim this off. And then I'm going to measure 17 inches. 17 and a quarter. Of course, I can't see any of my numbers on here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17. Okay. 17 and a quarter. Oh, actually, I'm such a dummy. You know what I could do? I could do it like this. I can use my ruler like this. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing. It's bigger. Okay, so all I have to do to know where 17 and a quarter is put my ruler on 17 and a quarter here, so I know this edge is where I need to cut. So instead of counting on my finger like I just did, I'm going to cut this off at 17 and a quarter. Okay, and then I need to make it by 5 and a half, or 5 and a quarter, I'm sorry. So now we'll go this way, and what I can do is I can just use my ruler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a quarter, like this, and I'll just use the lines on my ruler to cut that. And the cool thing about using the ruler like this is you can make sure that it's square on both ends, over here and over here. So that's a nice square piece. Everything's lining up exactly. All right, so that's my exterior wallet piece. Now here's the thing. The interfacing for the exterior is a little bit of a different size. The interfacing is 16 3/4 by 4 3/4. I'm guessing that's because they don't want you to have the fusible fleece in the seam allowances. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep these aside so I don't lose them. I'm going to get my interfacing, and we're going to cut a 16 3/4. So again, I'm going to use my ruler here, and I'm just going to get it so I can just see my 16 3/4 along this edge right here. And it's only going to be 4 3/4 inches long. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to measure down this way, 4 3/4 puts me right here. So now I'll cut this out without wasting any of the interfacing. So I'm just going to cut to here, and then I can bring it down to the 4 3/4 like this. Oh, I'm probably blocking your view. Oh, let me just see. I'll cut it this way. Let me turn it around so I can cut it so you can see. Actually, if I do it like this. All right, so I'm using the ruler as my lines, not my cutting mat. 4 3/4. And 4 3/4. All right, so there's my interfacing, and I'm just going to put that with my outer piece, and I'm going to put it with the glue side face down, so I kind of have that ready to go. And then I'm also going to get my fleece. Now my fleece for the exterior is 17 by 5. which is still a little bit smaller. I think they're grading, she's grading the edges is what she's doing. So that's kind of cool. So each piece will end a little bit differently. Oops. So let's do, this one's 17 by 5, so 17. Let me straighten this out first. I just want to make this straight. Okay, so then 17 by 5, and again, I'm just going to measure, I'm just going to make a little bit of a line here for 5 inches. So it ends right there. So then I can just cut that. And then I'll use my ruler to measure my 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Okay, so I have my 17 by 5, and I'm just going to put that, you know, right together with that too. I'll put my fleece right there together, and I'm going to fold that. So that takes care of my exterior fabric. Let me just stop and see. Hi, Nilgun. Hi, Kathy. You're late joining me. Well, I'm doing a little bit of a sewing thing. If you missed the beginning of this episode, I just want to just say again, I'm doing a promotion with this Aliso irons. If you send me a receipt that you purchased an Aliso iron this holiday season, I will give you a coupon code for the free t-shirt quilt class. And in the December newsletter coming out next week, I have a candy cane felted wool Christmas stocking project. So that'll be a newsletter exclusive project. So those are the things you missed if you came late. Oh, Meg So says, I wanted to make this wallet, so thanks for this tutorial. All right, well, yay, thank you. I mean, I hope this is fun. And again, I'm sitting here thinking this could be a little boring. I hope it's not boring. But, you know, sometimes I think it's fun just to show what my thought process is on this. Maybe it's not the best process, but I'm just showing you how I would figure it out. All right, so I did my external and my external fusible face interfacing and fleece. So the next thing I need to cut out of my external fabric is my zipper binding, and I need one 2 by 6 inch piece, and I don't need any fusible or interfacing for that. So that's the last thing I have to cut out of this fabric. So you can see here you probably have enough to make 2 wallets, or maybe a big one or a small one. There's plenty of fabric in this Cool Stitches kit. So if we need 2 by 6, I'm just going to cut the end off here 2 inches, and then I'll shorten it into a 6 inch piece. Okay, so there's 2 inches. Ooh, I should rev up my Aliso iron so I could. Let me plug in my iron, because then I can iron things if I need to. Okay, so the one thing about the Aliso mini iron is it has its own silicone sort of stand to put it on, because it, that way you don't have to do this. So put this on your ironing board or your pressing surface, and that protects that from getting burnt. Okay, but I will say, do not put this whole setup right on your plastic cutting mat, because I actually melted the surface of my cutting mat over there, and it buckled, and it actually made indentations that look like these holes on my cutting mat. So make sure you do use a pressing surface in addition to this, because this is not enough to protect something that might melt. It's a really powerful little iron. Okay. Oh, and I'll put a link to the mini iron in this. I'll put a link to the iron under the video later. All right, so to get 6 inches, again, the easiest thing to do is to put your ruler, so 6 is here, and it's all lined up with the lines on the ruler, then you can just cut it off. So it just makes a really easy way to cut this. And then now I can give this a little press to get rid of that crease. Oh, see I'm just ironing the crease off. But look how nice that is. It just really does a nice job ironing. So I'm going to put that together. So now I have all my exterior pieces, the zipper piece I needed, and my flap. So I'm going to put that aside so I don't lose it. And we're going to move on to the lining pieces. And lining fabric number 1, remember, was the one we had more of. So we need this beige fabric. That's what we're going to be working with now. And we need to cut out card slot bases. And we need 2 that are 4 1/4 by 8. And the interfacing is a different size, so I can't do that stack and cut method I was doing before when I cut out the tab. So let's just do our, well, actually the first thing I'm going to do, if you have a lot of pieces to cut out of your fabric, go through and look at them all to make sure there isn't a big piece. If there's a really big piece and there's a lot of little pieces, I would cut the big pieces out first just to make sure that you don't cut it in a way where you run out of fabric by the time you cut all your little pieces out. Hi Anne, thank you for joining. We're working on the road trip wallet from Cool Stitches subscription box. Also, I should mention that I have a coupon code for a discount if you want to try a Cool Stitches subscription box. Debbie gave me a special JSD, I think it's JSD 20, or I'm going to put it in the description below when I'm done, but you can get a discount if you want to try the subscription boxes. All right, Joanne says, I've wanted to make this wallet for a while. Thank you for the tutorial. Oh, I'm so excited that some of you are actually going to be making this. I hope this is helpful. All right, so I'm looking at all of the pieces for the lining fabric 1, and the one that sticks out to me is the one that's 17 1/4 by 5. And we need 2 of those. So I'm going to cut that out first because it's a big piece, and then I want to make sure I can cut that out. And I think since it's big and I have my iron, my little super mini iron here, I'm just going to go ahead and just give my fabric a quick press so I cut things out accurately. Okay. Well, ladies, if you're making this wallet, there's a good chance I'll make a mistake somewhere along the way, so I'll be able to show you what not to do if that happens, because knowing me, I'll do something that's not right. Okay, so let me just give this a quick iron. You can see how nicely this little iron is amazing for these little projects. All right, so I've got that iron. I'm going to just move this out of the way now. And let's get our fabric. We need 2 17 by 1/4. So I'm going to start at this top edge, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm using the lines on my board now, but I just want to cut, I just want to even up this edge so I have a even edge to work with. Okay, so that's evened up. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my ruler down so I can do 17 1/4. Oh, let's actually, before we even do that, let me trim off this extra here. Over here too. I'm just getting rid of the salvage edge here. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up with a line just so it's nice and neat. And I'm gonna put my ruler on 17 1/4. And it's going to be 5 inches wide. So I know that I can draw my line to 5 here. I'm just going to cut that first. Then I'm just going to turn it this way, and I'm only turning it. If I was not showing you guys how to do it, I wouldn't be flopping it around like this. I'm just trying to cut it in a way that you can see what I'm doing. But see, now I can just line my ruler up 5 1/4. Okay, and I'm making sure it's square here along this line and over here. So I've got my 2 big lining pieces. Okay, so I did that, and because I started in the middle of my chart, I'm going to make sure I mark that off. I did that. Okay, so that was the big one. Then down here, there's a card slot K. I need 4 pieces that are 5 1/4 by 1 1/4. Just put this aside over here. Let's see how I can cut that out. I need 5 1/4 by 1 1/4. So those are skinny. So I think what I'll do is, maybe I'll do those at the end because they're thin. So let me do, because there are a bunch of skinny ones that we need that are 1 1/4 by different amounts. So maybe what I'll do is do the ones that are not strips first. That's what I'm going to do. So I need 4 1/4 by 8. I need 2 of those, and then I need 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, and then I need 4 1/4 by 5 5/8. So we know that 4 1/4 is a big common number here. So when I see that on a pattern, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this entire strip. I'm going to cut this entire strip out, and I can fold it up to make it shorter, so you can see. I'm going to cut this entire strip to be 4 1/4, because that's a common amount we need. So 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. Okay, and then the cool thing is now I can say, okay, I need 4 that are 4 1/4 by 8. So I'm going to fold this in half and see if we can get, let's see how big this is. This is 11 inches. So none of the other pieces are going to be able to use that small leftover. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut here, and then I'm going to make this 8 inches. And remember, the easy way to do that is line your ruler up so that the end is on 8 here. Line everything up. And then cut that off. So that is my card slot bases are done. Oh, I only needed 2 of them. I made 4. So that's a boo-boo. So, boo-boo number 1 I made. So I'm just going to take 2 of these and put them aside. Oh, and you know what another really good idea is? Another really, really good idea is to mark what it is. So I'm going to take, we have a lot of little pieces. This is my card slot bases, and it's 4 1/4 times 8. There's 2 of them. So I'm actually going to pin that on. Okay, that way I'll know what the piece is. Oh, my audio is crackling? Ooh. Let me see something. I haven't touched anything with my audio. Let me turn off my picture-in-picture. Tell me if this is better. Tell me if it's better like this, without me in the picture at all. That might fix the crackling. Let me know if that fixes it. So we're labeling our pieces so they don't get messed up. so many of them. So the next thing I need is 14 by 4 3/4. So let me see. Well, actually, let's do the last card slot divider. I need 2 that are 5 1/8. So again, see, I'm just using, that doesn't fix it? Huh. Wonder what's happening with my audio. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm wondering if I have too much stuff on my microphone. Is it better now? Let me know if it's better now. I moved everything away from my microphone, all the wires and stuff. Oh, much better. Okay, good. I think I had stuff piled too close to my microphone. I'm sorry. All right, let me put my picture in picture back. I'm sorry about that. Oh, good. Thank you. I'm sorry. Woo! My husband would yell at me if he saw the way I had my microphone all jumbled up with stuff. So, we're not going to tell him. All right, so we're going to cut out the last card slot. That's going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/8. So again, I'm just using my ruler. So this is last card slot. Oh, I should put the letter too, H. There's 2 of them, and it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/8. Okay, and this one was, the card slot bases are letter F. I'm thinking she's going to be using those letters to refer. Okay, so I've got those done. Now we're going to do, since I screwed up and I cut double the amount that I thought, let me see. Yeah, all of these are now too small. I will save these in my scrap pile for something else. So let's see, what is this? This piece, I need 4 3/4, which will work on here. So let me shorten this one to 4 3/4. This is the card slot dividers. Okay, so it needs to also be 4 1/4. So I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4. Okay, so that's that piece. So let me make a note of that. So I did this one, and this one. So I've got all of these pieces done. Now we just need to cut the skinny ones out. So in keeping with my organizational system, you can see where if you don't label, these pieces could get kind of confusing. So this is my card slot divider, and it's 4 1/4 times 4 3/4, and it's letter G. Okay. All right, so that's labeled. Now we're going to cut out our skinny pieces. So we need 1 1/2 inch strips, and we need 8 of them, and we need 2 different lengths. So again, I'm going to make myself, I'm going to cut, maybe I should just finish cutting this off. I started cutting my seam allowances off and then I stopped. So let me just finish cutting those off here. All right, so now I'm going to cut, I'm going to fold this in half this way to make it shorter. So we need 1.25 inches. So now I'm using my mat as my line now. So 3/4. Actually, I'm going to do it this way. It's easier for me to see the ruler than my mat. So I'm going to do 1 1/4 all the way up. Now, if you fold your fabric to make it a shorter length, make sure that the horizontal lines are, oops, I can't see what I'm doing. Make sure that the horizontal lines are parallel or laying right on the fold, because if you cut it a little bit off, when you open it up, it's going to make a V. Okay, so make sure that if you're going to do it this way where you fold it, make sure that at the very top, the fold is lining up exactly with one of these horizontal markings. So when you open it up, you don't get a V. And I'll show you what I mean. All right, so here's my 1 1/4. I'm going to open it up and see how it's nice and straight across there. I just want to show you what happens if you cut something on the fold and it's not completely straight. Okay, so I'm going to do another one, and it's going to look pretty good. But I just want to show you what happens, what can happen if you're not careful. Like if something's askew. So like, let me just show you what can happen if it's not exactly. Like if you're close. Oh, well, it's really not showing, but I mean, you could end up with a little V at the fold. So just try to make sure you're straight. All right, so now I need 4 8-inch pieces and 4 5 1/4 pieces. So I'm going to fold this in half and see what I get for my length. And I'm just going to cut the end off here. And then I'm going to use my ruler to come up with 8 inches. Like this. Okay, so there's my 8 inches. Okay, and these are my card slot top and bottom strips. This is card slot top bottom strips, and it's letter J. So I'm going to pin those together. And then I'm going to see what this is. I think this is just going to be a little bit too short because I need 4 that are 5 1/4. Let me see what this is. Oh, actually, I can cut 2 out of this one. So we might as well do that. So 5 1/4. Ooh, it's almost perfect, actually. And then I'll use this one that I tried to show you a screw up on. Let me just double check that it's 1 1/4 up here. Well, first let's cut off 5 1/4. All right, so first we're going to do 5 1/4. Oh, except you know what, that's not, oh yeah, no, it'll be fine. 5 1/4. And then I need to make it 1 1/4 wide. All right, so now I have all of those lining pieces cut out, and this is going to be my card slot side strips. So let me make a note here. This is card slot side strips. Oops. All right, whoops. And it's letter K. All right, so I have 4 of those. All right, well, happy day. We cut out all of the pieces for lining fabric number 1. Now let's going to check those off. Oh, wait a minute. We have to cut interfacing for all of those. But the interfacing is a different size, so I'm not making more work. So let's cut the interfacing and then pin it with it. Let's do that. So let me just put this aside. Let me get my interfacing over here. Okay, so the lining does not have any fusible fleece. It's just the interfacing. So let's start at the top. Well, let's do the big one first. We need 2 16 3/4 by 4 3/4 for the main pieces. So let's start with that. So I'm going to fold this in half. It's easier if I stand. Just fold this in half like this. And I'm going to measure my 16 3/4. So 16 3/4. Let me make sure this is even here. 16 3/4. And we want to make it 4 3/4 long, so I'm gonna, let's just get that dimension. 4 3/4 goes to here. So let me just cut that first. 1 2 3 4 3/4. Okay, and then again I'm just gonna flip it this way so you can see how I'm cutting it. So 4 3/4 wide. Oh my gosh, are you sure this isn't like watching paint dry? Are you guys bored? Oh, Mary says you have more patience than I do. I'll be honest, I love doing stuff like this. I just never have time to do it. And I think I just decided I wanted to share this because it's such a cool project. So, oops, what am I doing here? All right. And I messed that up. Wait a minute. Let me get my, this is the piece that goes with this. So I'm just going to put these together for now. All right. Now I'm going to check that off. So I did it. And then I'm sorry, I love my doggies, but I can't do my doggies while I'm doing this. All right, so now let's start at the top here. We need 2 3.5 by 7 1/4 pieces. So let's look at what we have here. 3.5 by 7. So if I fold this, and I don't think this is going to be, yeah, so I can't use this piece for that. So I'm just trying to plan what I'm going to use all these, shapes for. I think what I can do is I can cut, this is 6 inches wide here almost, like 5 and a little bit. So I'm just looking for something on the chart that will fit in this spot. So I need 4 1 by 4 3/4. So I think what I'm going to do, just trying to think of the easiest way to do this so I'm not cutting each thing separately. So I'm going to fold this in half here. I'm going to fold it in half so it's about 2 inches. Maybe a little bit more than 2 inches, like this. And I'm going to cut off, because I need 4 1-inch strips that are 4 3/4. So I'm just gonna cut this off here, and then I'm gonna, I guess this is a fold here. Let me cut that off. Okay, so now I can measure this to be 4 3/4. So again, I'm using my ruler like this. So there's my 4 3/4, and then I'm just going to cut 4 1-inch pieces. There's one. Okay. So these go with card slot side strips. Okay, so these are card slot side strips. So I'm going to find my card slot side strips, which are right here, and I'm going to pin them all together. Like this. Because you know I would lose these strips. Oh, Mary heard the pitter-patter of my doggy. Yes. Well, don't feel bad for them, Mary, that I'm not paying attention, because I did take them for a hike this morning before I started this. So they're not tortured. All right, so we did this one. Oh, and Joanne says this is not boring. All right, thank you. Thank you for telling me you're not bored. All right, so this is done. Now I'm going to do my, let me see here. What else is less? Okay, so I need 2 4.5 by 3.5 for the last card slot divider. So I think I could do, let me see. I'm going to make it 3.5 this way approximately. So let me just cut this. Let me just, oh, I know. I'm going to measure this to 3.5, puts me right here. So then I know that's where I almost want to fold the fabric. Okay, so see, now what I can do is I can trim off that little bit. So I know this is 3.5 now. See, let's double check it. I need a shorter. Right, this ruler is a little bit shorter. It'll be better for us. Okay, so this is, whoops. All right, you guys are watching me doing a lot of fussing. If I was doing this by myself, I wouldn't be, you know, switching it around. Okay, so we want 3.5. So I'm going to put this right on the half. And I'm just going to trim off the little extra here. Okay, and then I need to make it 4.5 going this way. So I'm just going to make sure these are lined up exactly right. And I'm going to make it 4.5 like this. Okay, so see what I'm doing? I know there's glare, but I'm matching up the sides of my ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, and so these are going to go with my 4.5 by 3.5 are the last card slot divider. Let me find that. Last card slot. I think I pinned it to something else for a minute. Yeah. All right, so here's my large. I'm going to pin that with my last card slot divider, H, together. Okay, so those are done. All right, so now I'm going to cut. Let's see. All right, so now I've got this piece. I'm going to fold it this way. Let's see what I can get here. I need 7 1/4. Let me see if this is 7 1/4. It's more than 7 1/4. All right, by 3.5 for the card slot bases. So let me do 3.5 first, like this. 3.5. And then I'm going to just trim this even here. And then I'm gonna turn it this way and make sure I can do 7 1/4 here. So that's going to go with my card slot bases. I'm going to pin those together. Ooh, we're almost done. Cutting these out. I'm just checking that off. Now I need a 3.5 by 2.5 2 of those. Oh no, I'm sorry. I need 14. Oh, I screwed something up. Card slot divider G. Card slot divider G. That's this one. I only cut 2 of these, but I need 14. See, this is why you have to be careful. So if I look at this, it says 14. 14, not 2. So that means I'm going to have to go back and cut out 12 more. So to get 14 of them that are, that seems like an awful lot. Well, I'm just going to do it like I would do it. All right, so 14 of them. Wow. You know what? Before I cut out 14 of them, I'm going to look and make sure that that's really what we need. Card slot dividers. Let's look at the instructions and make sure. All right, so when I go over here, it says place 1 G piece right sides up over an F piece lining da 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 da, pin and da 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 da. So it looks like each piece is actually 1 card slot. So I think we do need 14 of them. All right, so let me see if I can even get 14 out of this now. All right, so let's go this way. If I need 14 of them, let me see. I just want to do a little making sure. 14 by 3.5. Wait a minute. Okay, the interfacing is only 3.5 by 2.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. Let me go like this. I'm going to cut 2.5 strips that are 2.5 wide, but I'm going to see, and it needs to be 3.5. So I should be able to get quite a few out of a row. So I'm just going to even this row up here. No wonder the beige fabric, we needed a lot of it. I had so much beige fabric left and I was wondering why it was such a big piece. Well, now I know. Okay, so let me just even this up here. I'm going to cut this off. So I'm going to cut 2.5 strips. And then let me see how many 3.5 inch pieces I can get out of that. We'll probably need to cut another one, but let's get this started here. So 3.5. 3.5. 3.5. Okay, I can get at least 8 out of this row. Okay. 3.5. And this is too small. So we need another, I already have 8. I only need 6 more. So I think I'm going to cut a single row here and see. if that's going to be enough. So let's do 2.5. All right, so if you guys use creative grids, the creative grid ruler, the reason why I like that is one side has the sandy discs on it, which helps it from not sliding. That's why I like the creative grid rulers. All right, let me see how many I can get out of this. 3.5. Oh, it's going to be a little short. I'm going to have to cut out one more set. 3.5. All right, and then let's use, what is this extra piece? Let me see if this extra piece is 2.5 inches wide, because then I can get my last. Oh, perfect. Let me just trim this to be exactly 2.5 inches. So now I can get my last set that I need for that. I'm just going to trim off this little part here because there's a little cut in that. All right, so 3.5. 3.5. All right, so now we have 14 of these pieces, and they're going to go, these are the card slot dividers G. So I'm going to put these all together. But remember, I also have to cut, I'm not going to pin them, I'm just going to lay them on top here. I have to go back and do the fabric, 12 more of these, so I'll do that in a minute. Let me just get the last interfacing thing done here. Let me just check that off. So the last thing I need is 4 1 by 7.5 inch pieces. So I'm going to cut 2 1-inch pieces like this. One, two. All right, and then I'm going to make these 7.5. So I'll just go this way. So 7.5 from the end here. Seven and a half. All right, so those are my, oops, these are my card slot top and bottom. So I know I have card slot top and bottom here. So I'm going to pin this together. All right, so now I have all the interfacing done for these pieces. So I'm going to go back to this and cut. I still need 12 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. I really hope I didn't screw that up so it's not fixable here. So 4 and 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So if I go this way, I think I'm going to make this strip. This will give me 4 per cut. I think I'll be okay. So I'm just going to even this up here. I don't want to screw it up. I just want to even this up. So I'm going to make this a minute. Oh, let me just iron this little boo-boo here. You know, because at this point I can't screw this up because this is all I have left of this fabric. So we want to make sure we don't make any tragic errors. So I'm going to fold it like this. Okay. And I'm going to make it 4 3/4 like this. Maybe I'm going to cut it to 5 and then I'm going to trim it to 4 3/4 on that side just to be safe. So I'm just going to turn it this way. And I'm going to make it 4 3/4. just to make sure it's completely accurate here. All right. All right, and then we have to hope I have 12. I can make 12 4 1/4 cuts going this way. So we will trim this little tail off, and then I'm going to do 4 1/4. So that's 4 already. Another 4 1/4 will give me 8. Okay. And then if I open this up, so I have 8, 10, 12. Do I have any more scraps? All right, so clearly I ran out of fabric. So what am I going to do? I think, all right, so this is why I wanted to do this with you guys, for this very reason. Although I want to say that oh, wait a minute. Oh, see? Oh, wait. Oh, I have these scraps. They're going to come to my rescue, hopefully. Oh, shoot. Nope, they're not coming to my rescue. These were my biggest scraps I had. So you can see how really important it is to check your, make sure you're cutting out the things that you need the most of. What size is this? This is it 4 1/4 this way? Yeah, this is 4 1/4 this way. So I'm going to put this, okay, wait a minute. So it's 4 3/4. Let me just make sure this is the 4 3/4 side. So I'm going to trim this one to match. I'm going to have to find another, let me do it like this. I'm going to lay this one on top here, and I'm just going to trim it to match, so it's 4 3/4. Then I'm going to make it 4 1/4 here, so I have that little bit to trim off. So if I hadn't screwed up here, this would have given me the other piece I needed. And they're all singles, so what I'm going to have to do maybe is piece a piece. All right, so I'll work on making that last one I need, but basically there are all of my card slot dividers. I have a feeling the way this goes together with the card slot dividers is only the top one edge is going to show. So I'm going to piece this fabric together to make that last piece. So I will figure that out later, but and I'll show you next week what I did to fix that. But basically, that was a boo-boo. So be really careful when you're cutting out your fabric, like I said in the beginning, and don't do what I just did. Hi, Diane. We're doing the wallet project from Cool Stitches, the road trip wallet. I'm cutting out all the pieces today. All right, so these are all done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the page here, and I'm going to cut out the second color. You know, and actually, if I have extra of the second color, I could always make one of my wallet dividers that different color. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see. Let me see what I have here. Okay, so here's my fabric, and let's look at what I have to cut out here. We need the ID pocket base, the sides of the pocket, ID pocket, the lining. Okay, there's no big pieces here for me to worry about, and the most I need of any one project is the ID pocket back and lining. I need 3 that are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. And I can see here 4 1/4 is, I need another one that's 4 1/4, and I need another one that's 4 1/4 over here. So I think what I'm going to do is cut my first strip out 4 1/4 wide, and then I'll play with getting as many pieces out of that as I can. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is just use my little Aliso mini iron to I'm just going to iron these things flat. I don't have any water in here, that's why it's not. But even without water, it does a pretty good job. I can't put my own tap water in my iron because when I look at my shower head, it gets really gunky, and I have to soak it in that not WD-40. That there's stuff that you can decalcify your your things like that, and I know if I put my tap water in my iron, I'll ruin it. So I didn't have any bottled water to stick in here today. I'm sorry. But anyway, all right, so that'll be good. All right. Okay, let me fold this in half this way. And because we have 4 1/4 is such a popular size, I'm going to cut a strip of 4 1/4. So let's do 4 1/4. Okay. All right, so now out of my 4 1/4, I need 1. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is cut off my salvage edge here. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Okay, so the first thing I need is 1 that's 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, so I'll get my 5 1/2. And that would be my ID pocket base. This is another situation where we're going to label. ID pocket base, and that is letter L. Okay, so that's 1. Then I need 1 2-inch by 4 1/2. So see how this works out nice. If you make a strip that's the width you need in one direction, you can cut out all these other pieces. So this one is the ID pocket right side, ID pocket right side, and the letter is M. Okay, and then we need 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'll just cut out my 1 1/4 here. And this one is left pocket, left ID pocket N. And we're going to need interfacing for some of these things too in a minute. Then I need 3 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I think I'll just keep doing it the way I'm doing it here. So I can't go this way because this is only 6 inches, so I have to go this way. 6 1/4. there's one. Let's get another 6 1/4. It's 2. Then another 6 1/4. Three. So these are my ID pocket back and lining. And the letter on that is O. We pin those together. All right, and then I need, oh, and right along here, I haven't been checking them off, so let me do that. We cut these, we cut this. Okay, so the rest of these are, all my 4 1/4 ones are done. Now I have 2 5 1/2 by 2. I need 2 of those. So, let's see if I fold this in half. I can get 5 1/2. I'm going to cut off my selvage edge here. All right, so I should be able to get, let's cut 2 inches. Okay, by 5 1/2. I really find using the ruler like this makes it really visual, and it makes it less likely you're going to cut 2 inches instead of 3 inches, or 2 1/2 inches instead of 2 inches, because I can see the lines right. You know, it's almost like it's framing the size I need. All right, so this is my ID pocket top and bottom. ID pocket top and bottom, and that would be P, the letter P. Pin those together. This does not need interfacing. And then we need 2 3-inch squares, and then we need 1 2 by 3. So now we know this is 2 inches, right? Oh no. Okay, let's cut off 3 inches here. 2 by 3. All right, so here's 3 inches. And then I'll cut this down to 2. Okay, so this is my zipper binding. I just need one of these. Zipper binding. And that's letter R. And then we need, the last piece I need is 2 3 by 3-inch squares. So you can see I did a much better job, or I have plenty of this fabric extra. So I think I'm going to make, maybe I'll make 2 of my pieces I'm missing on the other color. Maybe I'll just make those this color. That's what I'll do. Okay. So that would be called a designer detail. When you make a mistake and you fix it, then it becomes a designer detail. If you make a mistake and you can't fix it, that's a disaster. All right, so there we go. We've got 3 by 3 is, oh, yeah, 3 by 3. By 3. It says binding for clear vinyl. 3 by 3. Well, we'll see. That doesn't make sense to me, but we'll see when we go to sew it. This is binding for clear vinyl. For clear vinyl. And it's 3 by 3, and it's letter Q. All right, so the last thing I need to do is cut out a few more pieces of interfacing. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Oh, Joanne likes the these Creative Grid rulers. I really do. I really like them. You know, another one that's really good too, this Optima ruler is really nice because if you're working with light fabrics, you use the black. But if you're working with dark fabrics, you use the yellow. See, it's much more easier to see. That's another ruler I really like, is the one that has black and yellow. Meg likes my designer details versus designer disasters. I've made plenty of both, trust me. Okay, so let me just get this over here for a second. All right, I needed 14 of this size right here, and I only have 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut so that was my card slot dividers. I needed 14 of them, 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to make one of them this color. That'll take care of that right out of the gate, so I don't have to fuss with figuring that out. So we'll do 4 1/4. 1 2 3 4 1/4. By 4 3/4. So I'll just turn it this way. And we'll do 4 3/4. Like this. Okay, so I'm going to put this with these. So now, and I'll figure out how to make it look okay. So that's all of this stuff. Put that back over here. Okay, and I guess these go with that too. All right, so now the last thing I'm going to do is cut out the interfacing I need for that second inner lining. And luckily we only have a few different ones to cut out. We're going to cut out, okay, so they're all 3 3/4 inches wide. I like when that happens because then I can, oh my gosh, I hope I have enough of this. If I don't have enough of this, I have more. So we're going to do 3 3/4. I can already see I'm not going to have enough. Oh, wait a minute, what if I do it like this? If I do it like this, I need a total, oh, I might have enough. I might have enough. Wait a minute. All right, we're going to do it this way. I need 3 3/4 by 5, and I just need one of them. I need, wait a minute. I need 3 5 3/4. All right, let me just do this. 5 and 3. If I cut that out, that's going to give me enough to cut out all right, I'm going with it. I'm going to cut out 5 3/4 here. 1 2 3 4 5. I'm sorry, 5 3/4 is over here. Like this. 1 2 3 4 5 3/4. I'm going to cut that out. It's going to leave me an inch, which I will use for something else in a minute. Then I need 3 3 3/4. So here's 2 of them. Then I can open this up and get the last one, 3 3/4. 1 2 3 3/4. Okay, so these go with the pocket lining, these pieces right here. Okay, so these are my pocket back and lining. Let me pin those together. Okay, and then I need 5 inches by 3 3/4, so I can get my 3 3/4 here. 1, 2, 3 3/4. And then I'll just trim off. We'll make it even 5 inches here. Okay, and this is the ID base, which I think is right here. ID base. I'm going to pin that together. And then the last thing we need is a 1 inch by 3 3/4, and I have this, which I believe is 1 inch. Almost exactly by 3 3/4. It's a little bit wider than 1 inch, so I'll fix that. So let me just get it like this. 1. Okay, so 1 inch. All right, so this is the ID pocket base. Which is right here, ID pocket base. Right, so this piece goes with this one, and I had already pinned this one with it. See, this is why this is really important to be organized in this project, because this piece does not go with the ID pocket base. This does. So let me pin those together, and then let's revisit our list here. This 5 3/4. Oh no, I was right. I'm sorry. ID pocket base. Sorry, I was right. Put this back. This piece is my ID pocket left side. Let me find that. I think it's this one. ID pocket right side. Oh, well, that makes more sense, right? ID pocket left side. All right, so I've got all my pieces cut out here. All right. Okay, so I have all of my pieces are cut out. That took only, what time is it? Like 2.5 hours. Although I did talk about some other things. I'm sorry, 1.5 hours. You can see working on a project like this, when there's a lot of cutting, it does take a little bit of time. I think if I was just doing this with myself, I would have breezed through it in about half the time, because I was taking my time to show you, plus I made the mistake. But I just want to recap here for 1 second for those of you who are making this project. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to make this really big so you can see it. All right, so the important things that you want to pay attention to when you're cutting out is look for the number of how many you need of each one in addition to what the size is. Okay, that's really important, because, you know, on the first page where I screwed up here, I needed 14 of this card slot dividers, and I only cut 2. So that's what created my little bit of a fabric problem. So go through and cut out your fabric efficiently by first cutting out the biggest pieces you need. So if it were me, I would cut out the zipper pocket lining first. Then I would come up here and I would cut out these card slots second. Okay, and if I had done that, I wouldn't have run out of fabric. So really look and see what pieces you have to cut out, and cut them out, the bigger ones first. And then if you have a common width, like not so much on this one, but on the inside, the second lining, a lot of the pieces were 4 1/4. So you can cut a whole strip of 4 1/4 and then just cut it down to size. So Joanne's saying, there you go, Amish design element, well done. Yay. Well, I just try to apply common sense to things. Like when I first started sewing, I literally would just haul off and just start cutting and run out of fabric all the time. So it really pays to look at what you have to cut out. And this would go for any pattern that's a kit. If you're buying your own fabric and you know yourself, chances are you're buying extra fabric. So if you screw up, you have extra fabric. But when you work with something like these cool stitches boxes, you know, you get enough fabric, but if you don't use it efficiently, you might run out of fabric like I did. So take your time, look and see what the big pieces are or a big multiple of pieces are, cut those out first, and then use the remaining fabric to cut out your other odds and end pieces. You know, and also when you're cutting with your rotary cutter, the other thing you don't want to do, like let's pretend I'm cutting something. If you wanted to make a 2-inch square out of this, okay, but it's a big piece of fabric, let's pretend this fabric is huge. Don't like overshoot to cut it, because what ends up happening is, another way you can really run out of fabric is, let's say this is the piece you needed, this is correct, but then look at what you did to this. You hacked it up by overshooting the amount you needed. And sometimes that can create a situation where you have to then move over to cut out the next piece. And so you can waste fabric that way too. So be really careful where you stop and start cutting so you can butt edges, you know, cut out pieces. That's why I'm a fan of cutting out a whole, you know, cutting out the whole strip that you need of the width you need and then chunking it up, because then you can't overshoot what you're trying to cut and wasting, you know, fabric by overshooting where you're cutting. So those are some cutting tips. The other thing I highly recommend on this project, obviously, is to label them, because look at all of this, look at all these pieces we have. Think about if you were cutting these and these pieces were not labeled. You just think about how messed up that would get in 5 minutes. In 2 minutes or less. So label all of your pieces, because trust me, they'll all start to look the same if you don't. So I wrote on a sticky note and then I pinned them on, so I would make sure everything is staying together. So that would be my next tip. All right, so I am going to, between this week and next week, I am going to fuse all the pieces, and I'm going to start working on it. I'm going to start that wallet section so I can show you how to do it without bumbling through and trying to figure it out as I go. I have a friend from back in the days when I used to work at Manchester Sewing. Her name is Debbie Quinn, and she designed beautiful bags. And the way she does her wallet, you know, a wallet similar to this is, it's all one piece, and she just keeps folding it up and pleating it basically to make the card slots. So this is a completely different way to construct a fabric wallet section. So I'm going to figure out a nice organized way to show you how to do that section next week, and then I'll also prep for showing you how to do the zippers and some of the other things that might be a little bit more complicated next week. So if you're following along with me, have all your pieces fused with your interfacing, and then be ready to tackle part 2 of this. And just keep in mind, when you're pressing your, or fusing your pieces, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to be using my Elna press. I have a press that's about this long, and I put the lid down so I can put a bunch of pieces on there and fuse it all at the same time. But if you're using your iron, do not rub back and forth. You want to put the fusible interfacing. Here, I'll just give you a quick little demo. We'll use the Aliso iron here. Just switch back over here. All right, so here's my iron. Let's say we're going to just fuse this onto here. Okay, so this is what we're fusing. Now, I've noticed in these instructions that the interfacing is less. So first, make sure you identify where the glue is. Put that right side face down onto the wrong side of your fabric. And because the interfacing is cut a little bit smaller, it makes sense to do it like this because you can see that you're centering it, or if there's different instructions, we'll figure that out as we go. But then you put your iron on it and you just let it sit there for a few minutes and put a little steam, okay? And then when you lift it up, it's fused, okay? You don't want to rub, because if you rub, chances are you could cause it to ripple and have problems. So if you're going to be fusing, just do the pat method. And again, this aliso iron is perfect for that because it's a nice small size, and you know, a lot of these pieces are really small. So that's how you would fuse your pieces. All right, so I hope you guys have a really great week. If anybody's watching me and they're joining me for pants fitting with stitches, that starts on Saturday this week. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm teaching a 2-week pants fitting class. Saturday at, I think it's 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Central is the first class. And then we have 2 the week following on the 12th. So I'm excited about that. And, you know, if you have any questions about this project, like I said, I will put the coupon code if you want to try a subscription box, a Cool Stitches subscription box. You can get a discount on it because Debbie made a special discount just for people who follow along with me, so I feel kind of honored. I'll put that coupon code for you in the description. I will put a link to Aliso irons in the description with a code. I actually have an affiliate link for that now, so I'll put that below the video. So if you're interested in an Aliso iron, you can click on that, and I can make a teeny bit of money along with you buying it, which, I mean, it's a teeny bit. I think it's like teeny, but I have to say that I'm using affiliate links when I put an affiliate link. But just know that I would never sell or promote anything I didn't absolutely love. And I absolutely love this iron and anything else I work with. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Oh, and if you have any questions about this project before then, ask them below the video and I'll help you. All right? All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Oh, wait a minute. Meg's in my fitting class. Yay, Meg! Ooh, Meg and I are going to be spending a lot of quality time together. All right, I will see you Saturday, Meg, and I'll see everybody else next Friday for another Fab Fit Friday.